Listen, sometimes in life, people will plot against you, whisper behind your back, and think they're smart enough to cut you off from the world. They think if they pull a few strings, make a few phone calls, or get a few people on their side, they can make you irrelevant. But here's the truth: if you've got value, if you've got vision, if you've got strength, they can try everything in their power, but they can't erase you. And that's exactly the story of India. America tried to corner India politically, economically, even diplomatically. The idea was to make India stand alone, to pressure it into submission. But what happened? Instead of India bending, India stood taller. Instead of isolation, India built new alliances. Instead of begging for approval, India created its own lane, and now the whole world is looking at it differently. See, the powerful sometimes forget that power isn't permanent. Position isn't permanent. Popularity isn't permanent. You can have the spotlight today and still lose it tomorrow. The same people who cheer for you can cheer for someone else next week. India understood something critical: self-respect is more valuable than short-term comfort. When someone tries to isolate you, the temptation is to compromise just to get back in the room. But if you compromise too much, you might get in the room, only to realize you've lost your dignity at the door. And here's what America didn't expect: India wasn't playing the short game. While others were thinking in months, India was thinking in decades. While they were trying to push India down, India was building bridges in directions nobody expected. New trade partners, new defense deals, new technology collaborations. The game was shifting, and the same people who thought they could humiliate India ended up humbled themselves. Life is just like that. Your enemies don't have the final word, your resilience does. People can withdraw their support, they can speak against you, they can even try to shut every door in your face. But if you keep building, if you keep showing up, if you keep proving your worth, they'll have to watch you rise anyway. So here's the lesson: don't panic when they push you away. Don't collapse when they gang up on you. Don't lose faith when the powerful reject you. The same stage they try to take you off of, one day you might own. Never bow to pressure. Stand for your principles when the pressure is on. The first instinct for most people is to back down, to give in, to do whatever it takes to make the discomfort go away. But pressure is just the world's way of testing how badly you want to hold on to what you believe. If you crumble under it, the world learns you can be bought, bent, or broken. Standing for your principles means that even when every voice around you is saying, "Just give in," you stand firm. It means that when people try to make you feel small for believing in your values, you look them in the eye and say, "I'm not moving." There will always be moments where compromising seems easier, but every time you compromise on something important, you pay for it later in ways you don't expect. Your spirit knows when you've sold out and the cost is too high. When people try to pressure you, it's rarely because you're wrong. Most of the time, it's because your stance threatens their comfort or control. If they can get you to bend, they've won. But if you stay rooted, you force them to deal with the fact that their power over you has limits. Principles are like anchors; they hold you steady when the storms come. Without them, you drift into places you never intended to go. And once you drift far enough, you forget who you were in the first place. India refused to bend because it understood something most people miss: you don't earn lasting respect by giving in to everyone's demands. You earn it by standing tall when the whole room is against you. And here's the thing about pressure: it reveals the truth. It shows who's real and who's pretending. It separates those who will stand with you from those who will stand with whoever's winning. If you run from pressure, you stay small. But if you endure it, you grow into someone who can't be pushed around. Standing for your principles is not comfortable, it's not quick, and it's not easy. But in the end, it's the only thing that leaves you with both your dignity and your destiny intact. The people who tried to pressure you will one day respect you, even if they never admit it, And those who wavered when you needed them will learn you can't be swayed by fear or flattery. Your principles are your armor. Without them, you're exposed. With them, you can walk into any room, face any opposition, and know you'll leave with your integrity untouched. So when the pressure comes, and it will, don't bow, don't break. And don't bargain away what matters most, because if you give in once, they'll expect you to give in every time. But if you stand strong once, you set the tone for how the world treats you forever. The lesson is simple. Hold your ground, even if it feels like the ground is shaking beneath you. Isolation is temporary. Strength is forever. There are seasons in life when you will find yourself cut off from the crowd. People you thought would be there will step back. Allies will suddenly go silent. Invitations will stop coming, and it'll feel like you're standing on an island, staring at a shore you can't reach. But here's the truth: isolation is never the end of the story. It's just a chapter where the world steps back so you can see what you're really made of. Isolation can feel like punishment, but in reality, it's often preparation. When you're alone, you hear your own thoughts without the noise of other people's opinions. You start realizing what's truly important and what was just clutter. When they tried to isolate India, the expectation was that the silence would crush it, that the lack of access would weaken it. But instead, India doubled down, strengthened its core, and started building power from within. See, strength doesn't come from being surrounded by approval. Strength comes from knowing you can handle the silence, the rejection, the empty room, and still keep moving forward. When you get through a season of isolation, you discover something powerful. You don't need as many people as you thought. You don't need every hand to clap for you. You don't need everyone's permission to win. In fact, isolation strips away the unnecessary so you can focus on the essential. It shows you who's loyal without the perks, who's real without the spotlight, and who's worth keeping in your circle when things get good again. The people who isolate you today might be the same ones knocking on your door tomorrow when they see how you've risen without them. And when that happens, you'll remember the time they left you alone was the time you became unshakable. Temporary loneliness is a small price to pay for permanent strength. If you can survive being ignored, you can survive anything. So don't fear isolation. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it build your patience. Let it teach you how to thrive without constant validation. Because when the doors open again, and they will, you'll walk through with a strength no one can take from you. And when the world tries to shut you out, you'll smile because you'll know they did you a favor without realizing it. They gave you time. They gave you clarity. They gave you proof that you don't need them as much as they thought you did. Isolation may be temporary, but the strength you gain from it will carry you for a lifetime. Build new bridges when old ones burn at some point. The connections you thought were permanent will fall apart. Friends will walk away. Partnerships will end. Opportunities will dry up. It'll feel like every bridge you had is suddenly up in flames. When that happens, you have two choices: stand there staring at the smoke, or start building new bridges toward new horizons. See, burned bridges are not the end. They're just an indication that the path you were on has run its course. And sometimes, those fires are the only way you'll stop crossing the same unhelpful path over and over again. When certain nations turned away from India, the expectation was that India would panic, beg for those bridges back, and settle for whatever terms were offered. But instead, India looked in a different direction and started building new connections. That's the mindset you need. Stop crying over doors that closed and start knocking on new ones. Stop wasting energy chasing people who walked out when you could be forming alliances with those who want to see you win. Every time you build a new bridge, you prove to yourself that your future is not tied to your past. You prove that no single person, group, or situation has the power to limit you. Yes, it hurts when old bridges burn. Yes, it's uncomfortable starting over. But you'll be amazed how much progress you can make when you stop staring at the ashes and start focusing on the blueprint for something new. The new bridges you build might take you to better places than you ever imagined. Places the old path could never lead you. When people see you thriving after losing what they thought you couldn't live without, it forces them to realize you are not dependent on their approval or access. So keep your toolkit ready. When one bridge goes down, don't waste time arguing over the fire. Pick a new direction, gather your resources, and start building again. Because the truth is, as long as you have the skill to build, you will never be stuck. And no one can keep you isolated for long. Burned bridges might hurt today, but the new ones you create could lead to victories far greater than you expected. And one day, you'll look back and be grateful those flames forced you to move forward. Think in decades, not in days. Most people can't see past tomorrow. They make decisions based on short-term wins and instant gratification. But real leaders, real visionaries, understand the greatest victories are built over years, not minutes. When you think in decades, you stop panicking over temporary setbacks. You understand that a momentary loss doesn't decide your destiny. You start making moves that may not pay off now, but will set you up for greatness later. India wasn't playing the short game when it faced isolation. It didn't scramble to please everyone in the moment. It started planning for the long haul, making strategic investments, securing long-term deals, and building relationships that would outlast temporary hostility. That's the mindset you need. When people try to block you today, think about where you want to be 5, 10, 20 years from now. Thinking long-term forces you to act with discipline instead of desperation. It stops you from making emotional moves and pushes you to make strategic ones. In the short game, you react. In the long game, you anticipate. You prepare. You position yourself so that by the time your opponents realize what you're doing, it's too late to stop you. When you think in decades, you stop chasing quick applause and start chasing lasting respect. You start building something so solid that even if people walk away now, they'll have no choice but to come back later. The long game requires patience, and patience is rare. That's why most people never reach their true potential. They get distracted by the need to be seen winning right now. But you can't microwave greatness. You can't rush legacy. You can't plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. India's resilience came from thinking far ahead. While others were focused on making a headline, India was focused on making history. That's the shift you need. Stop thinking about what looks good today. Start thinking about what will still be standing decades from now. Because a short game will get you attention, but the long game will get you respect. And respect lasts a whole lot longer than applause. Self-respect is worth more than approval. There comes a time when you have to decide what's more important, fitting in or staying true to yourself. Approval can be given and taken away in a heartbeat. Self-respect stays with you for life. When the pressure is on, the temptation to compromise your values just to keep certain people happy is strong. But here's the truth: if you trade away your self-respect for someone else's approval, you'll spend the rest of your life chasing validation that will never last. India understood this. When others tried to force it into a corner, it could have made easy deals to get immediate acceptance. But instead, it chose dignity over desperation. That decision cost something in the short term, but it paid off big in the long run. When you stand for yourself, not everyone will like you. Some will call you stubborn. Some will label you difficult. That's fine. Those same people will often come back later and call you strong. The approval of the crowd is fickle. The same hands that clap for you today can turn into the same ones pointing at you tomorrow. But your own respect for yourself that doesn't flip overnight. Self-respect gives you peace when the noise gets loud. It keeps you from lying awake at night, wondering if you betrayed yourself just to make someone else smile. When you lose approval, you can rebuild it. When you lose self-respect, it takes a lifetime to get it back. That's why the wisest people protect it like treasure. There's power in knowing you can walk away from any deal, any relationship, any opportunity that demands you shrink yourself to fit someone else's mold. Yes, approval feels good. Yes, it's nice to be celebrated. But if being celebrated means being controlled, that's not celebration, that's ownership. The world might reward you for bending today, but it will respect you more for standing tomorrow. And respect is worth more than applause every single time. People will eventually forget the details of why they disapproved of you, but they'll remember you didn't sell yourself out. When you know your worth, you can stand in a storm and smile, because you understand something most don't approval fades, but self-respect endures. So protect it, guard it, and never hand it over just to feel accepted for a moment. Your value will attract the right allies when you know your value. You stop begging to be included in rooms where you're not respected. You realize that the right people will find their way to you when you're operating in your purpose. India didn't run after every nation that turned away. Instead, it focused on its own growth, and in doing so, it attracted new allies who respected its independence and vision. That's how it works when you carry yourself with value. You become magnetic to the right connections. The wrong allies drain you. They demand more than they give. They expect you to bend to their terms. But the right allies see your worth and want to stand beside you without trying to control you. If you keep chasing people who undervalue you, you'll miss the opportunities with those who truly align with you. That's why you have to be willing to let some connections go, no matter how big they seem. Value attracts value. If you bring integrity, strength, and skill to the table, you'll eventually sit at tables with people who do the same. The key is patience. The wrong allies usually show up first. They look shiny, they talk big, but over time, they reveal they're only here for themselves. The right allies may take longer to find, but when they do, the partnership is strong enough to survive challenges. That's because it's built on mutual respect, not manipulation. When you focus on proving your worth to yourself, you stop trying to prove it to everyone else. That shift is what draws the right people in. They see you don't need them to validate you, and that's exactly why they want to work with you. The world is full of people who are drawn to strength, but they can only see it if you stop hiding it to please the wrong crowd. If you stay consistent in your mission, the right allies will come, not by accident, but because your value leaves them no choice but to notice. And when they come, the work gets lighter, the vision gets bigger, and the journey gets faster. So don't panic if the wrong people walk away. That's just clearing space for the right ones to arrive. The wrong crowd can only hold you back. The right crowd will lift you higher than you ever imagined. Let success be the loudest revenge when people doubt you, talk about you, or try to cut you off. The natural urge is to fight back, to prove them wrong with words. But words fade. Success leaves a mark they can't erase. India could have spent its time arguing with critics, defending its position, or explaining its choices. Instead, it kept building, kept growing, and let its achievements speak louder than any press release. That's the secret. The best way to respond to disrespect is to rise so high they can't reach you. When you focus on success instead of retaliation, you channel your energy into something that actually moves you forward. You stop wasting time on people who already decided they don't believe in you. Revenge through words can make you feel good for a moment. Revenge through results makes you untouchable for a lifetime. Your success will make people who dismissed you rethink their opinions. It will force those who ignored you to acknowledge your presence. And here's the thing: success doesn't just silence critics, it inspires others. Your rise can be the proof someone else needs that they can rise too. When you're underestimated, you have an advantage they're not watching closely. That gives you the space to work in silence until your results are too big to hide. Let them laugh, let them doubt, let them spread whatever story makes them feel powerful. While they're busy talking, you'll be busy winning, and when the results come, there's no argument left for them to make. Success shuts down every rumor without you saying a single word. Your energy is too valuable to spend on petty fights. Spend it on building something so undeniable that even your enemies have to respect it. The sweetest form of revenge is watching people who tried to hold you down realize they only pushed you higher. So let your wins be your response. Let your growth be your answer. Let your achievements be the loudest sound in the room. Because at the end of the day, success isn't just the best revenge, it's the only one that lasts. So what's the takeaway from all of this? It's simple: the world will try to test you. People will try to corner you. Circumstances will try to strip you of your options. And the easiest thing to do is to bend, to bow, to give in so the pressure stops. But the story of India shows us you don't win by folding. You win by standing. You win by building when everyone thinks you're broken. You win by keeping your dignity when they try to take your place. They thought isolation would end you, but isolation built you. They thought burned bridges would leave you stranded, but burned bridges led you to new roads. They thought short-term pressure would break your spirit, but you were thinking in decades, not days. You didn't chase approval. You didn't beg for a seat at their table. You kept your self-respect, and in doing so, you attracted the kind of allies who actually wanted to see you win. And when it was all said and done, you didn't have to clap back. You didn't have to explain yourself. You didn't have to fight their way. You let your success be the loudest voice in the room. Because here's the truth: you cannot humiliate someone who refuses to lower themselves. You cannot erase someone who knows their worth. You cannot stop someone who builds faster than you can block. So take this lesson with you: no matter who tries to isolate you, reject you, or block you out, keep moving forward. Don't collapse under pressure. Don't bargain away your principles. Don't chase the wrong crowd. Play the long game. Build your own bridges. Protect your self-respect. Let your results speak. And one day, the same people who counted you out will have no choice but to count you in. That's how you turn their attempt to humiliate you into the very thing that crowns you. That's how you turn rejection into reputation. That's how you turn isolation into elevation. Because in the end, you won't just survive. You'll make them regret they ever tried to take you down. And that, my friends, is the real victory.